Our next speaker is Pranav Dantella, a sophomore and student athlete with the Green Level tennis team. Today, he is here to talk to you about the importance of first impressions. Everyone, please welcome Pranav.
So during the summer of 2022, I moved over 600 miles from Alabama to North Carolina, and I had to start my life all over again. I pretty much left everything behind. My friends, my school, my friends, the clubs that I was in, my friends. Did I mention friends yet? I say that because humans, like me, are social creatures that need almost constant interaction in order to survive, and friends are just an extension of that. Now, the problem with me leaving my friends behind was that I never really realized how they became my friends. It just happened. So once school came around in my 9th grade year, I found myself wondering where to start. It seemed as if I entered my old school as a small 11-year-old and came out with too many friends to count. I somehow had to recreate that, except this time, there was already existing friend groups, which made it harder to fit in. I wanted to know what I was trying to accomplish scientifically. I wanted to find out what I was doing when it came to friendships. And most importantly, I wanted to rebuild my social life as fast as possible. I already realized that I had a way of making friends that worked in the past, but my goal with this research was to find out exactly what that was. So to start my research, I found a study online about the underlying factors of friendship. And there were only 3 that interested me because there were 3 that you could control. The first 2 were obvious. They were being genuine and having conversational skills. And they were obvious because they go hand in hand. You need to be genuine in order to seem like a real human being to another person that you're trying to make friends with. And you need conversational skills in order to prove that to another person. But the third factor intrigued me the most. It was first impressions. Because I always heard that first impressions were everything, but I never really realized how important they actually were. According to the paper, humans make decisions about whether someone is going to be their friend, an acquaintance, or anything between based on the first interaction alone. And this made sense to me because during the first semester of my 9th grade year, I didn't really make that many friends. And that wasn't because I lacked conversational skills or I wasn't confident enough or I wasn't genuine enough. It was because I never had the chance to get a first interaction or a first impression with anybody. So I made it my mission during the second semester to find and test different strategies to be able to get that first interaction with somebody. The first of which is what I like to call using an external event to start a conversation. To illustrate what I mean by this, let's say you're in the middle of a math class and you're learning about the Pythagorean theorem when all of a sudden the teacher trips and falls and everybody starts laughing. And all of a sudden you do something crazy. Instead of laughing like normal, you turn to the person next to you and you start laughing with them. And then that laughter turns into an exchange of few words. And then that turns into a full-blown conversation. And then in 2 weeks, you guys are friends. And that's pretty much what I did. For the first half of the semester, whenever something funny or shocking happened, I would turn to the person next to me and start talking about it. And this worked with relatively high success rate. I started making a lot more friends, and I started talking in class a lot more. But there was only one problem with this strategy, and it was that I would have to rely on something that I couldn't control if I wanted to talk to someone or make a conversation. But that problem was solved in the second half of the semester when I joined the tennis team. During my stay at the tennis team, on our first win, we decided to go celebrate at a restaurant. And at this point, I didn't really know that many people. So I just kind of stood there awkwardly until someone approached me and started talking to me like he knew me my whole life. And I didn't even realize his name until the end of the conversation when I was about to leave. And that taught me something important. Even though he didn't even know me, he just approached me and started talking to me. And I knew that I was going to be his friend by the end of the conversation. So if I could just replicate that and approach someone and talk to them like I knew them my whole life, it would be as if I did know them my whole life soon enough. So that's what I did. During the second half of the semester, whenever I was bored in class or just wanted to talk to somebody, I would find someone and just start talking. And this worked with a little less success rate because not everybody wants to be approached. But it compensates because you can do it more times in the same amount of time that you could use this last strategy. So by the end of the year, I pretty much rebuilt my social life and adjusted to the environment. But was that it? I feel like we can all learn from this, from my experience, because at some point, if you haven't already, you will probably be forced to be in an environment in which you don't know anybody. And this information about first impressions can help you navigate that situation properly, whether it's a new job that you have, or a party that you're at, or like me, you move to a new place. Me personally, I'm going to college, like much of you, and this information can be the difference between a good time and a great time for me. So keep in mind, as long as you have the confidence and you can keep the conversation fueled, you can do anything. Thank you.